Hi folks, welcome back. I have your latest real estate numbers for all cities north of Toronto, just on the border. So Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. I'm going to talk about detached houses and condos. So let's get into it. Oh, before I get going, please subscribe below, hit the bell button so you're reminded when these videos come up, and share it with your friends. And if you have any comments, we'd love to hear from them. I respond to all the comments there. Okay, let's get going. Now, sales for these regions are different than what we're doing in the city of Toronto. And so it's so important that when we look at this, that we're not making decisions based on what we see week over week, because when sales are so low, it's so easy for the numbers to be affected one way or the other by one or two sales. So let's try to focus more on the trend of what we're seeing. Okay, so we're going to start off with Vaughan detached houses. And when we compare 1 week to the next, and I'm ending off at November 29th, average sold price did drop down a bit. But, you know, I'm saying it's going to go up and down. But if we kind of step back and look at the overall trend, I've started this chart off week ending March 8th. The reason I'm starting in March is because that was just before the lockdown, and we came into the new year all aggressive. Prices were just better than anyone ever thought. The market was really strong, competitive, active. And so then we went into the lockdown, and it was like a wah, wah, wah. Everything just bottomed out. So we started on a high. I'm comparing to where we were before we went into the lockdown. Then in most markets, come into the lockdown, sales dropped, average sold price, and it's understandable. We're lucky we had any sales going on. Then we came out of the lockdown, and it's just like on your mark, get set, go, and everything shot up. Sales shot up, average sold price shot up, but then we kind of normalized. So the end of July, beginning of July, we normalized, and that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And where are we from there? We're still living through the health crisis. We still got some lockdowns going on right now, and who knows when we'll be officially fully out of this. But the market it seems that if somebody wants to buy or wants to sell, they're doing it, and we've learned to kind of sort of live with whatever situation we're in now with this health crisis. So when we came out of the lockdown, prices shot up. Remember, this is just Vaughan detached. Then we normalized, and if you look at the overall trend, prices in Vaughan, it's pretty clear that since the middle of the summer, average sold price for detached homes has gone up. Now, you'll see here when we're doing sales of in the 60s and 70s, yes, it goes up and down, but the spread is a little tighter. Once we start getting down into the 30s, 36, the spread is much wider, just because one or two sales one way or another really affects the numbers. So we do expect sales to taper down as we get into the colder months. That's normal in any season. But overall, prices seem to be going much higher than where we were pre-lockdown prices. So detached homes, if I had to kind of sum up the year so far for detached in Vaughan, prices have been going up, and they've been going up pretty aggressively here. Compared to last year, so for the 1 week, average sold price is slightly lower at 0.9%. But if we kind of step back and not live or die by what happens in one particular week, the previous week we were up almost 23%, then down 4.7%, then up 20%, up 24%. Overall, big numbers. You know, when you talk about we're higher 20% than last year's price for several weeks in a row, you know, you kind of get the feeling that, you know, what happened here? Well, we'd have to look kind of deeper into what happened there, and why is this kind of the same there? We'd have to look into that. But overall, detached prices in Vaughan are way stronger than what they were last year. When we look at sales, sales are tapering down. Generally speaking, though, orange being 2020 sales, blue being 2019 sales, you could see that the orange every week is higher than what it was last year. But if we summarize from January 1st this year to November 29 and compare sales to last year, we're 14% higher in sales. There's been more volume of homes being sold in Vaughan this year. It's also true of Toronto. It's also true of many of the other markets when it comes to detached homes. Can you imagine if in April, when we were kind of all at home locked down wondering what's going to happen, if I would have got up on a loudspeaker and said, hey, don't worry, we're going to do way more sales this year than we did last year, you would think I was crazy. And I've said this before, the reason I didn't say anything like that is because I didn't believe that either. I would have thought I was crazy if I would have said it, and I didn't want to be crazy. So sales are much stronger week after week. 14% more sales were done this year to date than they were last year. Listings, we're listing more homes, but the amount of listings week after week is lowering as we get into the colder months. Months of inventory, below 4 months of inventory is a seller's market, and we've been kind of hovering around the 2.9, 2.7, 2.8. So we're very much in a seller's market here, and you could tell by the amount of, if you've been looking for detached or you've been selling detached in Vaughan, you've had multiple offers. It's a very competitive market in Vaughan. Let's look at Vaughan condos, the other side. Now condos is something that everybody's really got their mind on these days. Okay, so condos, we shot up from the previous week, we shot up to 14. So in all of Vaughan, 14 condos were sold last week. Now 14 doesn't sound like a lot, but when I compare, 14 is kind of one of the stronger weeks. Before we went into the lockdown, we sold 34 in that week. We've never really regained that ground. Condos has been taking a beating this year, but 14 is a pretty strong week when you look at the overall year and what we've been doing. Average sold price did shoot up, but remember, we're not going to live and die by what happens in 1 week. So looking at the overall trend, it kind of seems like average sold price for condos it's pretty steady. If I had to draw a straight line, I can't see it sloping right now one way or another. And that might sound a little crazy to you, but here's the thing. In the last year or two, there's been a ton of new construction condos come online. So they've closed, the new buyers have taken possession, and they're selling. So selling a newer condo versus selling a 10, 15, 20-year-old condo, prices are different. So we're seeing a lot of sales of more expensive condos. The cost per square foot has, on average, come down, but it gives the impression that average sold price has stayed the same, which hasn't. Prices of condos have come down. However, it's not reflected so much in average sold price because the condos we're selling now are a little bit more expensive. Versus last year, we're higher in this week by almost 13%. We were lower by 15%. Higher, lower, it goes, so it kind of, average sold price is kind of the same, but looking in your building, and this is where you need a good realtor on your side if you're looking to buy or sell. What's happening in your condo building really is the true meaning of, hey, is my condo worth more or worth less? Not worthless, but worth less than it was last year. And it's really what's going on in your building that's going to determine that. Sales. Overall, remember, orange is 2020. Sales are way lower than what they were last year. And if we take the year to date, we're 9% lower. So detached sales are higher than last year. Condos sales are lower. We've sold 77 less condos so far to date than we did last year. Listings are higher. There are 271 active listings. Months of inventory here's where I got to explain something. Months of inventory went from 13.4 down to 4.5. Now here's the explanation. In this week here, we sold 5 condos that week. This current week we're in now, we sold 14. So the way the calculation works is now, well, we've sold almost triple, and based on those sales, if that stays the same, well, we're going to chew up all the inventory we have available for sale in 4.5 months. Does that mean that, wow, 4.5, we're really close to the seller's market? Not in this situation. Remember, sales are low, so we're looking at overall trends. And overall trends, we are sitting in very much a buyer's market when we're looking at condos in Vaughan. Okay, so now we've moved on to Richmond Hill. And remember, the plan here is we're covering all the cities north of Toronto. So Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham, and I'm doing detached and condos. Okay, so looking here at Richmond Hill, sales did go up to 28 over the previous week. When we look at the overall trend, I can see from here, average sold price is going up in Richmond Hill. Compared to last year, the same week we're 14.3% higher, but overall we're higher. And some big numbers like 27% higher, 26% higher. So overall, average sold price for detached in Richmond Hill has gone up. Sales were 5% higher than what we were last year. And you could see the orange week after week is a bit higher in most cases. Last week, we sold the exact same that we sold last year. But overall, year to date, we're 5% higher in sales. Listings, some weeks were higher, some weeks were lower. But we listed 42 last week, where last year at the same time, we only listed 4. Months of inventory, we're sitting at 2.9 months of inventory. We're sitting in the seller's market. Now overall, because of prices been going up, we have overall been in a seller's market when it comes to detached homes in Richmond Hill. Condos, okay, so sales jumped up. I'm not sure what happened with one week to the next, but it seems in a lot of these areas we did terrible the previous week, and this week we've shot up in sales. I don't know why, I'm just reporting the news here to you. Average sold price looks like we've been sloping down. So condos in Richmond Hill, overall, prices are coming down. Versus last year, this week we're lower, previous week we were higher, lower, higher, lower. It's kind of the same, but overall you're going to find that we are a bit lower than where we were last year. Sales are down in Richmond Hill condos by 11%. That's a big number. 11% lower sales this year than last year. We have 182 active. We sold 20. Months of inventory, you know, sales are so low. We have months of inventory at 3, and it kind of gives the impression that it's a seller's market, but it's not. There's lots of choices for condos, and overall average sold price is sloping down. Markham detached. So remember, we're covering north of the city of Toronto here. Okay, so sales did go up from 33 to 44. We had 5 detached homes in Markham sell at $2 million or more. Average sold price went up, but remember, we're not going to live or die by 1 week. But looking at the overall trend, we came out of the lockdown, shot up, we normalized, and it looks like average sold price has been sloping up when it comes to detached homes in Markham. Compared to last year, for this 1 week here, we're 16.5% higher. Overall, we're much higher, 14%. So prices are higher, detached, in Markham than they were last year. Sales, 9% higher sales versus last year. 44 were sold, 43% sold at list price or more. I've not yet gone to the slide of months of inventory, but if we just say, okay, well, 40, why do I even look at that? I want to see how competitive, how active the market is, and I want to see how some of the other stats line up. So if 43% sold at list price or more, 43, it's close to half. You know what? It's pretty competitive when it comes to Markham detached. I'm guessing we're probably in a seller's market. Active listings is down to 263. Generally speaking, though, we're listing more homes than we did last year. Months of inventory, here you go. 1.4 months of inventory, so 43% are selling at list price or more. Seller's market, lots of competition for detached homes in Markham. Condos, sales in condos went up. Condos are doing pretty good actually in the Markham area when we've kind of come out of the lockdown. Maybe prices are sloping down, maybe they're pretty steady, but a lot of new condos on the market being sold that kind of brings the average sold price up a bit. Compared to last year, this week we were higher, last week we were lower. Generally speaking, though, we're a little bit higher than what we were last year. Sales, though, are 13% lower. Of all the cities north of Toronto, this is the worst as far as sales for condos goes. 13% lower year to date than what we sold last year. And you can see that the blue, which is last year's sales, often is higher than what it was from the orange this year. We're selling less. We're listing more. Months of inventory has come down to 2.7, but that's because we've sold so many. This week it was a better sales week than it normally has been, but generally speaking, we have been more in a balanced market situation when it comes to condos in Markham. And you could see that when I showed the first slide, I was trying to figure out the trajectory at average sold price, and it kind of seems steady. Well, we're sitting in a balanced market. Folks, that's the report for north of Toronto, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham. Hey, I love your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. Be safe. We'll talk to you soon. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier.